can start now. Okay. You say? Oh, we are live. Okay. Okay. So welcome to NPTEL online course on machine learning and deep learning, fundamentals and applications. And this is second live session of this course. So up till now, we have covered lectures up to week number 7. So now, if you have any questions up to week number 7, you can discuss with me. So there will be another live sessions also. But up to week number 7, if you have any doubts or if you have any questions, then you can interact with me in this second live session of the course, computer vision and second live session of the course. Name of the course is machine learning and deep learning, fundamentals and applications. So in the Excel sheet, I have seen some questions. One question is there by Dr. Gade. So his question is basic books for deep learning. So only one question in the Excel sheet. So there are many books on deep learning, but one popular book is The Deep Learning by Goodfellow. So that book also you can consider, and there are many other books. Also, online courses are available. If you see the deep learning online courses like by Professor Andrew Ng or Fifi Lee, Stanford, University of Stanford. So there are many online courses. So you can see these courses, online courses, and also the book by Goodfellow. So this is about the first question. So one question I have seen online, Gatsela. Please suggest one book which have the question like in the assignment. So there are no books. So even online you can get some questions and the answers, but I am following the book by Duda and Hart. And if you see other books on machine learning also, and there are no problems solution. So if you understand the concept, then I think you can solve the common problems. The problems are not difficult, the assignment problems. Then I think that is not a big problem, but you have to understand the concepts. So if you understand the main concept, then I think the problem solving is not a problem. And there are no such books. The questions and answers are available. But the Duda and Hart book, you can see the problems. And for the Duda and Hart book, the solution manual is also available. So Vishal Saw, sir, in assignment 5, last question has been some error. So the solutions, I think they have uploaded. So maybe you can discuss with TAs. So better to discuss with the TAs, and you can get the solutions of the assignments. So if you have any questions, then in these interactions, this is the second live session of the course on machine learning and deep learning, fundamentals and applications. So if you have any questions, then you can ask in this live session. So up till now, we have covered up to week number 7. So up to week number 7, we have covered. And remaining 5 weeks, you can get the materials. So these are also very important. So if you have any questions up to week number 7, then you can interact with me. So problem solving session by TAs is helpful. So actually it is very difficult to put the live sessions. There are many problems of organizing live sessions, problem solving. And even in the course also, it is very difficult to discuss all the topics and all the problems. So what I am doing in the week number 12, if you go to the week number 12, so there will be 3 problem solving sessions. So 3 hours, mainly by the TAs. So they will solve the problems, some problems, not all the problems. It is not possible to solve all the problems. And also there will be 2-3 sessions on programming. So in the week number 12, you will get the problem solving sessions, 3 solutions, problem solving sessions, and 2 programming sessions. So how to do the programming? So the problem is the course content is very heavy in this case, not like other courses. If I go for the problem solving of each and every topic, then maybe I cannot cover most of the important concepts. If you see this course is the combination of these 2 courses. One is the machine learning, another one is the deep learning. So if you see the syllabus of this course, so it is covering many important topics on machine learning and the deep learning. So for each and every topic, if I go for the problem solving, then within 12 weeks, it is not possible to discuss all the problems. So better to discuss the fundamental concepts. If you understand the concept, then I think the problem solution is not a big problem. And also, this already I told you that in the week number 12, there will be 3 problem solving sessions by TAs and 2 programming sessions. So already I told you that but these assignment problems are solved by the TAs. So whatever they are giving in the assignments, I think the solutions are uploaded. So in the week number 12, they will be discussing all the problems starting from week number 1 to week number 12. So there will be 3 problem solving sessions, and they will be covering all the weeks in the final week. I cannot discuss all the problems in the class because the problem already I told you, it is a very big syllabus. If you see the syllabus, it is the combination of both the courses, machine learning and the deep learning. And in the 12 weeks, it is not possible to cover all the things. So I am covering most of the important topics of the machine learning, almost complete machine learning, and some important concepts of the deep learning. So in the week number 12, definitely you will get 3 problem solving sessions covering week number 1 to week number 12. So media edits, sir, your course is emerging. Can you expect a course on AR/VR from you? Yes, I am planning to go for another course on AR/VR, the augmented reality and virtual reality, but not this year. Maybe in the next year there may be some courses on AR/VR. So my concern is you understand the concepts and the problem solution is not a difficult one. So Satish, please upload presentation PPTs of your lectures. I think already we have uploaded. Already I have given the PPTs to the administrator. So I think they have uploaded. I don't know about this. I will ask them. But already I have handed over my PPTs, all the PPTs to the course administrator. And I think he should upload. So at that point, I will again ask the course administrator, so who is maintaining the portal. This course portal is maintained by one administrator. So I think he should upload this one. Already I have sent my PPT. So if you have any questions, please discuss with me. If you do not understand, if you are not understanding any concept, then briefly I can explain in this interactive session. So up till now, we have covered up to week number 7. So we have another 5 weeks. So some of the important concepts of the machine learning and some of the very important concept of the deep learning will be discussed in this next 5 weeks. So if you have any questions, please discuss with me in this live session. So media editech, media editech. Sir, I really appreciate your effort for upskilling India. Thank you for your dedication. Yes, I am trying my best so that at least some of the concepts I can deliver to the students. It is not possible to discuss all the concepts, but most of the important concepts on machine learning and deep learning I will be covering in this course. So those who do not know the machine learning, they can understand. Plus, please remember that without mathematics, it is not possible to understand machine learning. So if you see any books on machine learning, you can see the mathematics. So if you have a good mathematical understanding of these concepts, then the machine learning or the deep learning is not a problem. And I'm trying my best to cover most of the important topics. After completion of this course, you can easily read books or the research papers. So if you have some research papers, you can try reading these papers. It would be easy. You can understand the research papers and the books also. So media editech, I think in every technology means engineering, mainly the computer science and the electronics or electrical engineering, or maybe in any other engineering, the mathematics is quite important. So without mathematics, it is not possible to understand the concepts. So in every engineering, I'm just telling only about the engineering. Even in the science also, physics, chemistry, the importance of the mathematics. But from the engineering point of view, computer science engineering, electronics engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical. So all they need the mathematics. So another question from Vishal Sao. Sir, in Persian window, how, what you are writing? F U function was thought, or how came for getting K samples. So what you are writing, I'm not understanding, but Persian window I can explain. In Persian window, what we are considering a hyper volume. We are considering a hyper volume. The volume is Vn is equal to Hn to the power d. So we are considering the d-dimensional. So we are considering the volume Vn, and what we are determining the number of samples within this particular volume. So that is actually we are determining in case of the Persian window technique. So there is a formula for the density estimation. The density is the Pnx is equal to K by N divided by Vn. In case of the Persian window, what we are considering in a particular hyper volume, in a hyper volume, we are determining how many samples within this particular hyper volume. So for this, we are considering one window function, that is a phi u, that is the window function we are considering. And based on this window function, I am determining how many samples within this particular hyper volume. And based on this, we can determine the value Kn. And the formula is the density is equal to Kn divided by N divided by Vn. So with the help of this, I can determine the density. So the main concept is within a particular hyper volume, I am determining how many samples within this particular volume. So that is the concept of the Persian window. So again, Media Editech, their question is, in your opinion, which is more important when designing a machine learning model performance or model accuracy? No, it depends on the applications. Model performance means the performance, if I consider the performance, accuracy is one parameter. So there are many parameters like precision, recall, that already I have discussed. And also we can consider the parameters like true positive, true negative, ROC, receiver operating characteristics, area under the curve. So these are the parameters. With the help of these parameters, I can determine the performance of a machine learning algorithm. So that concept already I have explained in one of my class. So how to determine all these parameters to judge the performance of the machine learning algorithms. So you can determine accuracy, you can determine precision, you can determine recall, you can determine the area under the curve, you can determine the ROC. So there you can determine F1 score. So these are the parameters. With the help of these parameters, you can determine the performance of the machine learning algorithms. So another question from the Media Editech is the difference between the machine learning technique and the deep learning technique obvious when being employed in tackling with the security problem. So what security problem I'm not getting? What is the security problem? But machine learning and the deep learning, the fundamental point is, if you have sufficient number of training samples, and if you want to consider more accuracy, then better to consider the deep learning techniques instead of the machine learning techniques. If the problem is very simple, then instead of considering the deep learning techniques, you can consider machine learning techniques, because we have limited number of training samples, and with the help of the limited number of training samples, you can employ any machine learning algorithms. But in deep learning, you need the huge amount of training data, and also you have to see the computational complexity. In machine learning, it is computationally simple as compared to the deep learning. So machine learning techniques can be applied in the case of the CPU. The CPU we can use, but in case of the deep learning, mainly we have to use the GPU. So from the computational complexity point of view, machine learning is simpler as compared to deep learning techniques. So it depends on the applications. So what security application you are mentioning, I'm not getting that one. But the concept is, if you have limited number of training samples, and suppose the problem is very simple, then you can consider the machine learning algorithms. But if I want more accuracy, and if you have a sufficient number of training samples, then you can consider the deep learning techniques. So Vishal Sao, sir, but how did we know what that particular function? So Vishal Sao, sir, but how did we knew that the particular window function will help us in the finding the number of samples? So we are considering the one window function. If you see my class, that window function is phi u. If this window function is within this particular hypervolume, then I'll be getting 1. 1 means the sample is there. If it is not within the hypervolume, that is the window function, then I can say that that sample is not within the hypervolume. So based on the window function, I can decide whether this particular sample is within the hypercube or not. So that is the objective of the window function phi u. So if you see my expression, the phi u is equal to 1 if uj is less than or equal to 1/2. So this 1/2 is actually that condition. If it is within the hypercube, then the value is 1. Otherwise, the value will be 0. So if you see my video lectures, I have mentioned that if uj is less than 1/2, that is actually it should not cross the boundary, because hypervolume unit hypervolume is 1. So if it is less than equal to 1/2, that means it is within the hypercube, and that sample we can consider. We can count that sample, particular sample. That means that sample is within the hypercube. If it is not within the hypercube, then the phi u, the window function, will be 0. So that is the concept of the Persian window technique. So Media Editech, again, he is writing why CNN is better than support vector machine for image classification, and which is better for image. What you are writing? So why CNN is better than the SVM for the image classification, and which is better for image classification, machine learning or deep learning? So again, I'm telling, if the problem is complex, the image classification problem is a complex problem. Suppose there are many background objects, background illumination variation is there. The background is a cluttered background. The problem is very complex. So then better to apply the deep learning techniques. But you should have sufficient number of training samples. Otherwise, better to consider the support vector machine. Support vector machine is also not a bad one. It can give very good performance. But if you have a sufficient number of training samples, you can consider CNN, the convolutional neural network, that you can consider. So I'll be discussing about the CNN in the week number 11. In the week number 11, I'll be discussing the concept of the deep learning and the CNN. Then you can see the fundamental distinction between the machine learning techniques and the deep learning techniques. But in most of the cases, you can employ the machine learning techniques. Like the support vector machine is a very good classifier. You can employ. So for image classification, the problem is suppose very complicated. The background is not simple. Background is very complicated. Dynamic background. The background is moving. Illumination variations. There are multiple objects. So for all these cases, the problem is complicated. So better to consider the deep learning techniques. So another question is by media, what is the best way to handle class imbalance in medical analysis, image analysis, machine learning model development? So class imbalance, there are many techniques. So one is the data augmentation also you can consider. So you can generate some data for the training. And also the concept of the transfer learning also. In case of the deep learning, the transfer learning also the learned model is there that you don't have the sufficient number of training samples. And the transfer learning is one technique, but the data augmentation also you can do. And one thing is that if it is a supervised classification technique, if it is that means if you have a limited number of label data, if you have a limited number of label data, then already I told you, in case of the medical image diagnosis or analysis, you can consider the semi-supervised learning. So only we have few label data and maximum unlabeled data. So that we can consider. The semi-supervised learning also we can consider, and data augmentation also we can consider. So these type of techniques are available. So I'll be discussing all these techniques in week number 11 and week number 12. These problems. Okay, Surabh বিশ্বাস, I remember. So this is the name of your startup, the Media Editech. Yes, yes, very good. So what is your theme of the startup? That means what actually you are doing. So what type of development you are doing in this startup? Is it computer vision related or image processing related or machine learning based? Okay, working on computer vision. Okay, very good. Okay. Because computer vision is now very hot topic, very emerging topic. So another next 20, 30 years, this machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence will be there. Another 30, 40 years, not a problem. Okay, working on the problem in mobility. Yes, that is a good problem. And that is a good problem in computer vision. So Saurabh, how do you feel about this course on machine learning and deep learning? Deep learning up till now I have not discussed. So week number up to week number 7. So how do you feel the content of the course? Okay, the content of the course is very depth in depth. Okay. So in my course, I am following most of the important concepts, most of the important concepts of the machine learning. After completion of this course, you can read any machine learning books. You can understand, at least you can understand, and also some of the important topics of the deep learning. So machine learning is quite difficult as compared to deep learning. Deep learning is comparatively very easy. Best explanation is topic. Well, thank you. Thank you. So now try to read some of the research papers. If you understand these topics, try to see the research papers. Now I think some of the things you can understand. Otherwise, it is very difficult to understand the research papers if you do not have the background of machine learning and the deep learning. So since you have a startup, so for all this development, you have to read the research papers. So like this mobility, that is one important research problem. So you can download some research papers and you can read the papers. Now I think these papers you can understand. Oh, that is very good. I founded my startup from your previous course understanding. Yes, yes. So it's a very good initiative by you. So Vishal Sao, sir, after course, how to go for ML projects implementation part. So if you go for some applications or maybe some startup, because you will understand, you have all the understanding of the machine learning concepts, importance concept of the deep learning. So based on the applications, you can go for the startup or maybe some projects or research projects. And the programming, mainly the programming you have to understand, mainly the Python programming for the machine learning. And for deep learning also, you can go some other programming like PyTorch, TensorFlow. So there are many programming techniques. So my TA will explain how to do the programming, machine learning programming in Python. So in the week number 12, you will see 2 sessions by my TAs how to do the programming in Python for the machine learning. So just wait up to week number 12. So now also you can write the programs like support vector machine. So you can write some programs for the support vector machine. The KNN, the K nearest neighbor. So you can write programs in the programming environment, like even in the MATLAB also you can do, but the Python also you can do. So you can do the programs, and there are many open source code. Suppose the support vector machine, you can see many codes in the open source that you can download and you can understand. But in the week number 12, my TAs will be discussing the programming. So 2 sessions will be on the programming, and the 3 sessions will be the problem solving. So how is the machine learning being used for quality control in supply chain management? So what are the parameters of the quality control that you have to understand? So what are the parameters you want to consider? So based on this, you have to extract features. Of the T production. So that is why, based on the applications, what type of quality you want to mention, what type of quality you want to monitor, or what is the product. Based on this, you can develop a machine learning system or maybe the deep learning system. And first, you have to know what type of parameters. So what are the features you need to consider for a particular quality control problem? So that you have to understand. So how are predictive models being used to identify potential quality issues, streamline the inspection process, or improve the product quality? So predictive models, already I told you, the predictive models can be used for like regression, the linear regression I have mentioned, the regression or multiple regression. So that is also one technique for the prediction. So there are many other techniques, like models are also available, the moving average model, ARMA model. So there are many models are available. But in my class, I discussed the concept of the regression. So you can consider the prediction also, the prediction models for all these cases, like that inspection of the product quality and the improving the product quality. So what type of product that you should understand. So suppose if you want to consider the quality of the tea, then generally they consider a color feature in case of the image. They consider texture feature, and they consider some other features like the moisture content in the leaves. So there are many parameters they consider, and based on this, they determine the performance of the quality. In case of the product chain also, So if you can determine the parameters, what type of parameters you need to consider for monitoring the product, any products, then I think it is easily to do the prediction. So one example is the regression. Regression already I have mentioned. So Satish Chandra, sir, I am exploring the possibility of using MLDL in stock trading. It is possible to capture data or visually display data in from the chart as input data through some transformation. Is it possible to capture data or visually display data in the form of charts? Yes, this is the image processing. You were asking me about the image processing. So that means the visually displayed data should be captured. So in image processing, there are some techniques. Image processing in computer vision, there are some techniques. So you can read all this information, all this data from the image, and that you can display. That you can also display, and also you can do the processing. So these MLDL techniques can be employed for stock trading, and it is possible to capture data or visually displayed data in the form of charts. So that means from the image you want to get the data. Yes, it is possible. So this is a problem of the machine learning, not the problem of image processing and the computer vision and the applications of the machine learning. Vishal Shah, sir, in k nearest neighbor technique, which we select k is equal to root n. So actually the k is equal to root n means it is the data dependent. So k is in case of the k means clustering, sorry, not k means clustering. In case of the k nearest neighbor, in case of the k nearest neighbor, kn is fixed. And in my example, the kn is data dependent. The kn is equal to root n. That is the one example. So n is the total number of samples, and k depends on n, but it is fixed. In case of the k means in case of the k nearest neighbor technique, the kn is fixed, and we are considering it is data dependent. So kn is equal to root n. So it depends on n. However, it is fixed. So in the kn, that is the k nearest neighbor technique, we are considering the kn is fixed, but it is data dependent. So Satish Chandra, that is yes, sir, getting data from the image. Yes, from the image also you can read, you can get the data. It is possible. This is one example of the character recognition. In case of the document image analysis, if you see the document image analysis, suppose the SEC, in the SEC actually, the bank SEC, you can read the numbers. So it is actually in the document image analysis. So suppose if you have a bank SEC, so the SEC number can be extracted from the SEC, from the image. So like this in this problem also, that from the image you can get the data. So this is nothing but the character recognition problem in case of the image processing, and you can apply the machine learning techniques. So that concept I am going to discuss in week number 11. So how to read the characters with the help of the deep learning. So there is a network, LS network. So that I'll be discussing in the week number 11. So you see my classes on week number 11 in the deep learning. So how to extract the characters from the image. So in the week number 7, I will be discussing one deep networks. Then you can understand. So I'll be discussing some networks like VGG network, residual networks, Google networks. So these type of networks I'll be discussing. And in one of the network, I will show how to extract the characters from the image. So this is the problem of character recognition. So just wait up to 11, week number 11, I'll be discussing this concept. So different types of deep networks, and in one network, I'll be discussing the concept of character recognition. So that was developed in 1998, that network, and that was popularly used in the banking industry, in the banks, to extract the numbers, the numericals or the characters from the checkbook. From the checkbook, it is automatically extracted, the characters from the checks, the bank checks, the bank checks. So another question is, will the prioritization of AI and the machine learning in higher education improve the competency of the future health professional in estimating the clinical risks? Yes, yes. Yes, because AI can immensely help in medical diagnosis. So for medical professions, it is quite important because nowadays the artificial intelligence is the one important component in case of the medical or the healthcare applications. So the machine learning, deep learning, or the artificial intelligence, these are the now extremely used in case of the or extensively used in healthcare sector. So I think it is important. So another question is, there is any intellectual difference between machine learning and deep learning in artificial intelligence? Yes. So already I told you, if I consider a very complicated, suppose classification problem or the recognition problem, then better to consider the deep learning techniques. But one point is, we should have the sufficient number of training samples. If I have sufficient number of training samples, then you can use the deep learning techniques instead of the machine learning techniques. So generally the accuracy is more in case of the deep learning as compared to the machine learning techniques. But the problem already I told you that we need the huge amount of training samples and also the computational complexity. So for these machine learning techniques, we can use simple CPU. But for the deep learning techniques, we have to consider or we have to use the GPU. So the computational complexity or the computation is more in case of the deep learning techniques as compared to the machine learning techniques. So, but if the problem is very complex and if we have the sufficient number of training samples, better to employ the deep learning technique, particularly in the applications like in computer vision, because the computer vision problem is some of the problems are very difficult. So better to consider the deep learning techniques instead of the machine learning techniques. But for the simple problems, you can consider. So Vishal, he is writing again, sir, in regression, we often talk about n order polynomial and d-dimension curves. But after 3 dimension, it is possible to so is to regression is good idea to computational complexity. No, we are considering the multiple dimension, this if x is a vector. So that is the multiple regression. The multiple regression we can consider. So nth order polynomial we can consider. So that is possible. And that is the problem of the multiple regression. And generally we consider the nth order polynomials. We consider. So for predictions in signal processing, there are many models. If you read the signal processing, the predictive models are also available. And you can also employ the artificial neural networks. So people are using the artificial neural networks for the prediction. So that I'll be discussing in the week number 10, 11. So some techniques like NFIS, the artificial neural networks in combination of the fuzzy logic. So NFIS techniques are also available. So these type of techniques are available for prediction. But the regression is a very good technique. So with the help of this regression, this prediction is possible. So if you have any questions, then you can put the questions. Only we have 5 minutes. So this is the second live session of the course, Machine Learning and Deep Learning, Fundamentals and Applications. So there will be another live sessions of this course. Okay, that's Saurabh. Thank you. Yes, I'm available. So we need to conclude this session, live session. So there will be another session, another 1 or 2 sessions, live sessions. Then you can interact with me. So now the week number 7 is running. So remaining 5 weeks of this course. The last 3 will be interesting because the last 3 will be on artificial neural networks, deep networks, in the applications. So week number 10, 11, 12, that will be more interesting as compared to this part. Okay, since there are no questions now, maybe we can conclude within 1 minute. So we'll meet again maybe after 10-15 days for the next live session of the course. Okay, thank you. We have to conclude this session. So thank you for attending this live session. So we are now concluding this session. So let me leave now. So thank you once again.